Well, someone who has been very vocal in his disagreement with the Karnataka High Court's verdict today on the hijab issue has been Lok Sabha Member of Parliament Asaduddin Owaisi, who joins us on NDTV this evening. Mr. Owaisi, thank you for being with us. Can I ask you straight off that do you believe that the court actually went beyond its remit by going into the issue of whether or not hijab was an essential practice of Islam? Because the original sort of the lawsuit that was brought by the students was to look at whether this ban was lawful or not. So did the court overreach?
Well, I strongly disagree with the judgment given by the Honorable High Court of Karnataka. And I'm of the opinion that, as you rightly said, the girls who went were asking for hijab to be worn on the uniform. It was not that they're saying we don't want to wear the uniform. But you have to understand the reason of disagreement is that the way the court have framed the questions are very, very strange, to say the least. Because if the court asks a question, is hijab an essential religious practice? That was not what the petitioner was asking. The petitioner was saying that we want to wear the uniform, and over that uniform we want to wear a hijab. But if you frame a question in such a way, then of course, and then the important point which allow me to read from my phone, because I was reading the 55-page judgment. The second question was about the uniform, prescription of school uniform. Is it not legally permissible, violative of all those things? But why? That was not the question. The question was allow us to wear the hijab. And third point, the court said that the uniforms are essential, but they are not. Throughout the country, students don't wear uniform. If you go to any country abroad, uniforms are not prescribed. But the important point which I want to bring to your notice and through your channel to the country is that the High Court cited ancient India's gurukuls to justify uniforms. In gurukuls, the girls were not allowed. It was only the upper caste who were allowed in gurukuls. What kind of example is this? And thirdly, the court talked about qualified spaces. For God's sake, please listen to me, madam. Qualified spaces, the court says, are prisons, classrooms, and the army camps. How can the Honorable High Court equate classrooms with prisons? How can the Honorable High Court equate classrooms with army camps? And then the court says to bring in homogeneity. How can homogeneity be brought in? If you read the Constitution talks about pluralism and diversity are the basic structure of the Constitution. Homogeneity is not. Then in the initial paragraph, the court talks about, oh no, positive secularism. We don't believe in negative secularism as France
right.
and US. But here you have completely different thing over here.
Sure, and that's why the matter has reached the Supreme Court already, Mr. Owaisi. But can I just ask you, to those who are saying that this is a welcome judgment, that religion in any form, shape, etc. should be kept out of schools, and that this is something that should apply to, religious attire across the board. What would you say to that?
Well, practically, let me give an example to these people who are saying all these, all these nonsensical things. When the court was hearing this matter, I hope you remember this. The concerned minister said, I am warning the school staff that they should not stop a girl child or any male student who's wearing a sindoor or any other religious symbols apart from hijab. So practically what is going to happen is that every other religious symbol will be allowed, and who will be discriminated? The girl students who are wearing hijab. That in itself will be violative of Article 15, that you cannot discriminate on the lines of religion and caste. So practically this is going to happen. And secondly, you talk about in public spaces religion should not be used. What happens on Diwali in police stations? Aren't arms, the armaments are not, puja is done? What happens on Diwali night when the NSE Stock Exchange does a puja? Aren't there any numerous photographs of the lordships wearing a tilak on his forehead? So why do you stop me? A parliament building foundation stone is being laid, and the Prime Minister has to do a puja. Why should a puja be done?
Are you concerned? are you concerned that, in an atmosphere in this country already, where, as I was mentioning actually a little earlier today, that you already have, for instance, Hindutva groups that are not allowing, mobs that are literally not allowing, Friday prayers to take place. It was happening in Gurgaon, right outside Delhi. When there is this othering of the Muslim community that is already taking place, that a judgment like this will only make Muslims feel that their cultural and religious identity is being taken from them. Is that what you're worried about?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're spot on. I agree with you. See, you say my masjid is not essential religious practice. A mob goes and destroys my masjid. You say, okay, take 5 acres. And then this hijab issue comes, homogeneity. When I go to Gurugram and pray, because you say you can pray anywhere, I'm not allowed to pray. So where is an end to all this hatred? The BJP government is incentivizing against the Muslim community. This is going to, and I'll give you a classic example. I have a Kashmiri journalist friend who has called me an hour ago and told me that a school, I don't want to name the place, didn't allow his daughter because she was wearing hijab. After today's judgment, they called and told him. So he told me, okay, I am a little bit comfortable. I got her admission in another school. What about other people? This will lead to more harassment of Muslim women. BJP has been targeting Muslim women in the name of criminalizing triple talaq. Where is an end? So what is my essential religious practice? Please tell me. And who will decide my essential religious practice? So,
Mr. Owaisi, my final question is on the concern now that, amongst conservative Muslims in particular, it was always a challenge to get young Muslim girls to go to school. And many of them were doing it simply because they did have that sort of, that protection, for want of a better word, of being able to wear a headscarf. The concern now is that for a lot of conservative families, it will become a choice between these girls getting an education or having to adhere to what they see as their faith. Now, what can I ask you as a Muslim member of parliament, would you appeal to these families to ensure that their girls get that education? Isn't that what is most important at the end of the day? And we'll see where this case goes legally.
No, I will not sit here and sermonize any Muslim or any Hindu or anyone who don't believe in God as well. Because I don't agree with the premise of your question, conservatism. No, this is a question of my civil rights. This is a question of my fundamental rights. When the Supreme Court in Puttaswamy says no one has the right to tell what clothes I wear or what I eat, who are you to tell me what should I wear? This is a right to conscience. It is a fundamental right. Even a Muslim has no right to say, oh, this is not an essential religious practice. If a girl wants to wear it, that is her choice. That is her choice under conscience.
I am saying, should girls be denied an education because of this, regardless, either from the state or by their families, because these girls are being caught in between?
Madam, you have created a choice that either hijab or education. The government data tells you that the highest number, the equivalent number of Muslim girls with Hindu girls are 3 states, Karnataka and Telangana. Isn't that empowered enough? Why are you stopping them? Why have you created this choice that either you wear a hijab or you will not get an education? How is it harming?
It's not.
How is it harming?
It's not harming. I agree with you there, because for years girls have been wearing her headscarves. They've been going to school. No one's been hurt by it. Kendra Vidyalayas allow girls to wear headscarves that match the uniform. So this is a much more deep debate in that sense. Thank you, Mr. Owaisi, though, for giving us your perspective on this important story. Thanks.
Thank you for inviting. Thank you.